I wanted to get them redone. I went to the doctor. I did my homework. And it was a great decision for me. I mean, I felt better, and
they look great.
To me, they look great. I'm more confident, and I didn't do it for anyone else but myself. Between the Reps with Brooke, Ence and Gina Chancharulo is a CastBox original, produced alongside Studio 71.
CastBox is the fastest growing and highest rated podcast app on both iOS and Android, where you can find all your favorite podcasts.
You can listen to Between the Reps wherever you get your podcasts, but we hope you'll give CastBox a shot. We think it's the best. Welcome back, guys, to episode 2 of Between the Reps with Brooke and Gina. It's episode 2, which means they haven't kicked us out yet, Gina.
We've made it past the first, so we're good.
Failed.
Yeah.
And they're wanting more.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're talking about boobs. Be more specific, we are talking about breast augmentation. Hopefully some of you don't know who I am, because that means that my audience is getting bigger, and that's a good thing. Not only for this podcast, but for, I guess, honestly, my brand and my career.
Yeah.
And yours. Because now we're building you one.
That's right.
A big one.
It's mine too.
I recently had my boobs redone. I had my breasts done in college, actually. And I got them redone. Obviously, some people probably speculated that I had fake boobs, not because they were big, but because of, I guess, the way they may look, and I was really, really muscular. So.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people were surprised when they realized you'd had boobs.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised the amount of people that didn't know that they were real. But I recently got them redone, and me and Gina actually did a little Instagram live where we talked about it, because I was getting so many questions. In fact, I really loved it. I was very honest about what I had done, and so many women, that had been wondering or, interested, or they were also about to go through a surgery. Just like a lot of you had a lot of questions, and we tried to answer them on an Instagram live, and you have been asking for us to do another video on it. So now we're doing a podcast on it.
Well, and we're not saying this is not like a pro boob job or not. We're just, explaining our experiences with it, because we both have fake boobies. So, And we have very different experiences, but, or have done it for different reasons.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to let everyone know what our experience is.
Yeah. And we'll try and touch on a lot of the different questions, like what type, under the muscle, over the muscle, training, sports bras.
Can you work out?
How can I work out? Bench pressing, things like this. We're going to talk about all that.
How big did you go?
Yeah. How big did you go?
How many cc's do you have?
And we'll also touch on a couple other, subjects that are going to come along with that. It's body image, people that are, really want to be very against doing it. I will say it's really a to each their own type of a thing.
Sure.
And I think what we all can learn from this is that you should worry about your own body. Literally. I mean, you can't decide. I don't know. It's not a subject that is touchy, but in this day and age, everyone gets offended really easily.
Yeah, and I think people get it mixed up with self-love. This is not, we're not talking about self-love right here. We're just talking about what made us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, it literally comes down to what you wanted to do, and it's your body, and it's not mine, so I'm not going to worry about it, except for I'm going to worry about your body, Gina. You better go through me for everything.
I'm going to ask you permission for everything.
Hey, so first and foremost, you want me to tell, I can start and tell my very first experience, or do you want to tell your very first experience?
I feel like you should tell your experience.
My first one.
Yeah.
All right. So
you had your first boobs done when?
A younger me. I was in college, and first of all, it's me. I have 2 sisters. My mom and my oldest sister were very well endowed. Okay?
Right.
My mom always had really big boobs. In fact, she was having so many back problems because of this weight weight that you're carrying that she had them reduced years
I
ago.
didn't realize that.
Yeah. And then my oldest sister, same thing. I mean, she had really, really big boobs, and same thing. She ended up getting them reduced because they're heavy and you carry them around everywhere you go.
Right.
Me and my other sister, I'm the youngest. Nothing, man. Nothing. I mean, my nickname, oh my God, I'm going to tell you guys this and you better not use it. Don't you be tweeting this at me. Actually, I don't care if you do. Mosquito bites. A bunch of you have probably heard the same thing.
Oh, man.
My sisters talked about my mosquito bites and my mom, and it was like, that's just the way it was. It was fine. Right. And that's not why I got my boobs. Everyone's like, oh, because you had no boobs. You got your boobs done. No, I went to college. I always had like, an A cup, a double A
Sounds
cup.
like you just had a nipple if you had mosquito bites.
Yeah. Well, I mean, double A cup. Okay. Very small boobs. And I went to college and I got into doing more like going to like a Globo gym, and I did a figure competition. So I was a modern dance major at the University of Utah. I always was a very, very athletic dancer. I've had my genetics. I have a very athletic build. We can talk about that another time. But we had someone come and teach a class at the university, and she was a kickboxing instructor, and she was Miss Utah for fitness. And I remember her coming, and she was like, they dance around and they're very athletic, and she had this beautiful body, and it reminded me a lot of like my natural body. And so I was very interested in seeing like what it is that she did, and I wanted to try one too. Well, at the time they didn't have for fitness. Fitness is like the girls that dance around and they do like one-handed push-ups and things like that. Yeah. But they only had figure or bikini. So I had this opportunity to do a figure competition, and I did that. Well, I did that, I leaned out quite a bit. I lost some weight. And then after the show, when I started to gain a little weight back, a little fat back, I had lost all my boobs. And when they started to grow back, mine were significantly different sizes. Like, from what I understand, all women kind of we're not super symmetrical. So like one is typically a little bigger than the other one. But mine was like significantly different. So in like my bra, I would fill out one side and not even come close to the other side. And that was just the way that they were growing back. And it was more of like it was a self-esteem thing for me in college, Sure. But I was a dancer and I was in a leotard 24/7. I didn't want to get big boobs where everyone was like, could tell that I had fake boobs. The goal was to have boobs that
were the same size.
And are you sick?
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm breathing all over this microphone.
I have boobs that were the same size. And I went to my parents and talked to my parents, and we agreed we would do this. So I had the surgery, got them done. This is in college, so it was right during like Christmas break. So I was taking a break from dance, so I didn't have to worry about it, like training and stuff.
Right.
I do remember we went under the muscle. They went through my armpit, actually, so I didn't have any scarring on my chest. And it was a uncomfortable comeback, but at the time I wasn't doing a ton of weight training. So I don't think it was as uncomfortable as it would have been if this time was my first time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because when they go under the muscle, they basically go in and they cut a pocket. And that pocket is where they put the implant. And in that area, you'll get scar tissue, and it kind of creates a space for it. So when I got them redone, I had been wanting to get them redone. But when I got them redone, it was still a recovery process of me having to take I think it was like 6 weeks.
Well, you were already recovering from something else. That's why you chose to do it when you did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that was
I knew
reason.
that I had to do stem cell injections on my shoulders.
Right.
And I was going to be not doing any overhead work, any overhead training for a while.
Right.
A long time. So I was like, well, this is the perfect time to be able to recover from everything, because there's never going to be a time where I'm going to be like, I can't train my upper body. So it was the perfect time for me to get them done. I had been wanting to get them redone. It had been, 10 years. And
so I have a question for you. Why did you want to get them redone? I feel like people would be interested in that.
They would be interested in that. Okay.
You had a lot of people asking you that. So, yeah.
So for me, this is what I was told. I got my boobs done. They're very swollen. And then when the swelling went down, like you kind of have these, you have the checkups where you go back to the doctor and they check them and all this stuff. Well, I remember my swelling went down and my right boob implant sat slightly lower than my left. And I mean, you can feel my sternum and it's a little bit uneven, but the doctor had told me that the reason it was like that was because of my sternum.
Sorry for
He lied.
What a liar. He basically screwed up.
Yeah.
He screwed up.
So,
but how would you know?
He told me that that's what it was from. And and so for me, I had this area on my chest, and I'm fairly lean, and I have genetically, I have thin skin. And I just got used to seeing it like that. Like, and it always sat a little bit lower, and I was fine with it for a long time. And then I think it wasn't as noticeable back then as it became as I became more athletic
right.
in a new sport. And so it was just an insecurity that I had. I didn't like to wear any shirts that were low cut. I was insecure about wearing bikinis. And it was something that I just came to terms with, but it was still something that did bother me. And I knew that I wanted to go in and, find a doctor that was the best and see if that was the issue, was my sternum. Because what the doctor told me is he said, the only way we could fix that is we'd have to go in, break your sternum.
Wait, the original doctor said this?
Yes. Break your sternum, rebuild it, like reconstruct it. And I was like, I don't need perfect boobs that bad. And that's what he told me. And then,
of course he did. You're like, well, no, please do not break my
So
my chest.
When I had this opportunity and this amount of time that I was taking off from my upper body, I was like, this is kind of the perfect time to do this. And I had already found a doctor because we had been talking, Gina, about me like just going in to a doctor, having them look at me, create a plan.
Right.
Not to have surgery right now, but just to create a plan so I knew I could almost like strategically place it either in a specific year or a specific time of year to be able to have it done. And it was just the right time. I went to Dr. Garth Fisher. He's amazing. He's in Beverly Hills.
Well, I think the difference is you did your homework this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also I was...
Well, no, I mean that's what I'm saying. Young. Like a lot of people...
But the doctor that I went to in northern Utah...
he was probably considered good.
Yes.
But that's what I'm saying is like, it's like when you're in a small area, you don't really know who's better.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, we've all been there where we've like gone to something and been like, oh.
Well, and it's not just that too. I mean, the cost is different too, right?
True.
Some people...
Right.
You're going to, and that doesn't mean you get anyone who like pays less than a certain amount is going to have bad tits. Like you're not.
Right.
But you're just, in my case, but I went to someone who didn't do what they should have done. Because when I went to Garth and I said, okay, take my shirt off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, explained what the issue was. And he was like, he's feeling them and he's looking at them. And I just don't remember having the same experience. So it came down to, I'm an athlete. He works on athletes all the time. It was make them as, natural as possible, fit my body. We were discussing, I said, I don't want to go really big. I'm not trying to have like big, huge boobs. And I also don't want there to be like this huge difference between, before and now. And we went over just like my chest and how broad I am and what type. Here's all these different implants. We've got to try and find the one that's going to fit best for you.
Right, because you had the wrong one in,
yeah,
right?
So like I had saline before. I knew that I wanted to get silicone. But more than that, I didn't know they all came in different shapes and sizes.
Right.
There's not like a million of them, but they do. And for my body, the kind that I had was just too small in circumference for me. So going to Garth, we were going to go a wider implant, which was going to be more cc's, but it didn't mean that they were going to stick out further. It was just going to cover more area because I have a broad chest. I got broad shoulders. Thank you, Mom. And
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to burp.
Hold that in, Gina.
Burping and coughing.
But yeah, okay. So I wanted to get them redone. I went to the doctor. I did my homework, and it was a great decision for me. I mean, I felt better, and
they look great.
To me, they look great. I'm more confident, and I didn't do it for anyone else but myself. And I really liked it. And I obviously went back under the muscle. This time it was silicone, so they didn't go through my armpit. The armpit is because they put the saline in there and then they can fill it up. So I am a 36C now. And before I was like a 36B.
So not a big difference.
No. And then the difference isn't sticking out, it's circumference.
Right.
But that was kind of my reasoning for doing it. And so a lot of people didn't know that I had implants before. And so when I posted that I was getting my implants done, they kind of thought,
they were in an uproar, kind of like,
why are you doing it?
You're an
and
athlete.
It's like,
how could you? I've already had them.
Fooled you. Fooled you. Because I've had jokes on you because I actually already had implants.
Yeah, right.
And yours?
Oh, well, I mean, I had a couple kids. I had a bunch of friends that had them. I mean, gosh, when they were getting them, that was a long time ago. And I think for me, I was just, I mean, I didn't mind having smaller boobs. It wasn't a big deal. But then, like, after having kids, it kind of does things to them, and that was still okay. And I kept kind of saying, well, as long as it's, I don't mind them being small, but as long as they're not just, like where it's like you can hold the pencil underneath your boob. What is that like when they pancake down or something? Or they call it like a
they're just
hanging. Yeah, hanging. I said, well, when that happens, I'll take care of them. And so I ended up. What's really funny is I went in because I wanted to get my neck gobbler done
for another episode.
I'm all putting my turtleneck up high. And the doctor kind of looked at me. He was, a good doctor that I was. Oh my God! I just completely had a brain fart. Anyway,
you were going to get your neck done, and he was like,
someone
"Lady,
connected me to
let's
him,"
do your
and he was
boobs
like the
first.
best, whatever. And I was like, "Oh, like by the way, like maybe I should like." I was thinking about maybe getting my boobs done, and this guy had this screen, and he basically like takes a picture of your boobs and then puts it up on the screen in front of you, which is like, brilliant if you want to try to get people to get their boobs done. And it just stared at me
You're
through
like,
the whole consultation. So I was like, oh my God, I thought they were so much better looking than that. And he started telling me, he's like, do you see how this one is like, a lot bigger than this one? Do you see how this one is kind of like hangs here and the same thing? And I was like, huh. Yeah, I do. So anyway, decided to go ahead and do it. I mean, I did mine when I was, I can't remember how old I was, 42. So I think I've only had mine for 5 years or something like that. Oh wait, I just did the math wrong.
That's
6
okay.
years. Anyway, and same thing. I did the
under the muscle.
silicone under the muscle, and I did the wide one, like you said, because my chest is wider, and I could not be happier. And that's the thing is, like, a lot of people were like, well, if you were happy with yourself or if you loved yourself, you wouldn't do that. And it's like, well, honestly, maybe that's how you feel and that's totally fine. But I really just want to, maybe not have to wear a bra,
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Like, maybe I just don't want to have to wear like 4 freaking strapless bras, on top of each other to wear like a strapless dress.
Gotta hold these puppies up.
Yeah. So anyway, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. I love them.
Obviously, 2 different reasons why we got implants, and both of which were derived because we wanted them. And it had nothing to do with anyone else's opinion. And yeah, and that's,
if you don't,
it's like, and that's
don't.
okay.
Yeah.
So I would do it over again. Not the first one, but
I would
the
have done
second
it
one.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do the second one over again for sure. We're going to take a quick little break and we'll be back. And I think what I'd like to do when we get back is dive in just a little bit deeper to the body image side of, something like breast augmentation, and why I think it's important to, remember that someone else's body is not your body. So keep the judging to yourself. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate you and want to stay connected with you. So please rate, review, and subscribe to help this podcast grow.
And if you like the podcast, get the word out.
And now back to the show. Welcome back from our little tiny break. Had to run Riggs out to the bathroom, actually, and run myself to the bathroom, and run Gina to the bathroom. we were talking about breast augmentation, and I really did want to touch on body image. Really just with that portion, because there's always a question of, one, I think that some women and men want to assume that you're doing it for like bad reasons, right? Or because you're, I don't want, like, okay, feminist. Some people will naturally be like, almost like it was, it's bad that I would want to change my body to make it better for
men.
For men, or
right.
Why wouldn't I just love my body the way that it is, and all these things. And it's like, when in fact, I do love my body, but I also, it's okay to have it's okay if you have something that you want to change. I mean, it's kind of like a wormhole when you really start trying to decide what is right for other people, because I don't know, but I know what is right for me. And I also know that I'm not going to tell someone else what they should or shouldn't do unless it's like their life or their health is at risk and I'm close to them and I know them. Right. But I'm not going to be a stranger to someone and
judge them based on something that
they did.
Right.
And obviously, like, behind a keyboard and, internet trolls, they get a little bit, they just want to be heard.
It's easy.
They just want to be heard. But I personally think that, for me, it was important. I read a lot of comments about like health risks and things that were people felt really, really bad. And then they finally had their implants taken out and their health all of a sudden got way better.
And
I'm so happy that happened for you.
Right.
I'm not having the same experience. And I really love my implants, and I feel better with them. And honestly, I feel more feminine. And, that word to me, it really just allows me to balance my entire being, or my body and my look and the way I feel and the way I move. I like being masculine too. I am masculine and I am feminine. I am all the above. And the fact that I'm more proud and I feel good about my chest, and I'm not scared or have weird second thoughts about the shirt I might be wearing or what other people might be saying. Obviously, because I've read things and people have said things about my, talking about how ugly my chest was.
Right.
And then you want to say, well, Brooke, why would you listen to haters? Like, why? Don't listen to them. Don't believe them. I need you to understand something. I know that. Like, we just had this conversation, Gina, about like, I know what I want to believe. I know that I shouldn't listen to, people that I don't know.
Right.
But if you're in a position where you're seeing something or hearing something or reading something over and over and over again, it can bother you, and that's not like, someone else's opinion about how my chest looked. That is not why I got my boobs redone.
No.
I had been wanting to do it for a very long time, and I was waiting for the time to be right. That was it. And that was my choice. I'm very happy with it.
I'm very happy with them too.
I know. But yeah, I think there are cases where people will, get things done because they attach it to their self-worth. But not everyone does that. And if someone is going through that, I hope that, being a part of this community or listening to us, we can help you realize your potential and really see how cool and awesome you are. And you can still have fake boobs, you can do these things, but do them while also realizing how amazing you are besides those things. Like, you didn't need those things to be amazing.
Yeah, it's not the deciding factor of how worthy you are.
Yeah.
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 Say it, sister.
Yeah. Yeah. But now I'm going to say yeah over and over again. Wow. But yes, breast augmentation, it is, I am happy with mine. It is quite the long road of recovery because it's important to let things really heal, especially if you're an athlete. Right. So my doctor was very persistent on telling me, do not lift any weights, because what he basically said about my chest is it wasn't my sternum.
Oh, you didn't need it broken?
No, we didn't need to break it. Huh. what we needed to do was the pocket that was cut, like the original pocket for the implant, wasn't cut far enough over. So the implant wasn't the right size or width,
right?
But it wasn't cut far enough over. So it could have
been a couple things
wrong.
have
been sitting where it was supposed to be. It just
right.
wasn't. The implant wasn't right for my body. Quite a few things that were wrong. And so what he said to me is, what we need to happen, we're going to put it where it goes, and we need the scar tissue and all of that to really heal and get super solid and make sure, it's not, so it won't move. And then when that is done, you can push the limits a little bit more with training and moving weight. That being said, I am careful. I do care about making sure I'm very healthy and I'm not going to ruin them, but I have had implants for a very long time, and I have worked out, and I have done bench press, and I love Olympic lifting, and I will tell you, they didn't change. So I think it's very important for those of you that are like really nervous about getting back to the gym and you've had implants, or maybe that's the deciding factor of why you haven't done it, but deep down inside you like really want to do it. Just listen to your doctor and take the time you need. Like take the time they tell you before you go back to the gym.
Well, and really research your doctor.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't try to get like some discount boob job. That's just never a good idea. I think make sure you can afford it.
Yeah. I mean, since you're actually carrying us right into it, some questions and some answers. Mm-hmm. I think we had a question that was about the cost.
We did have a question. How much does it cost for boobs?
That is it's going to vary depending on where you live, depending on probably how long the doctor's been around and the experience of the doctor, I imagine.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Like if you're just starting out being like a plastic surgeon, you're probably going to be doing some of those discount boob jobs.
It's not where you want to go.
It's not where you want to go.
Not where you want to go. Okay, from Lacey _ did you go under or over? Or maybe just, it says under or over.
Well,
so
and
maybe it's just the difference between the two.
And we already mentioned that we both went under.
We're both under, yeah.
For me, mine was under because trying to figure out what's the best look and functionality for what I do as a full-time job and for hobby. And, things like I have thin skin and what's going to look the best and what's going to look the most natural. Well, under the muscle, it allows for it to be a more natural look for me. With training, a lot of girls would be like, well, yeah, but if you go under and you lift a lot of weights, it's going to push your implants out. Well, that's what that then came into play was make sure you let them heal.
Right.
Because that scar tissue, when it really heals, it's very strong, and that is what I was told. And that is also what I did the first time I got them done. And I didn't have any problems with them, like, being pushed into my armpits. Because that's what people are
because you waited scared of. Yeah, you listened to your doctor and you went to a good doctor.
Yes. I didn't go over because it would, as lean as I am sometimes.
You would have seen
you would not only see the implant, but that's when you see the women that they look like they're just sitting on their chest. Right?
Yeah. They're like super high.
Yeah, and just sitting on there.
Bolted on.
Yeah, so for me, under, because it's more natural look and it's important for me for them to look natural.
Next question. At SKA, do you still have sensitivity?
I imagine
that
like
weird?
Sensitivity.
Enunciate.
Yeah, I have a lot of it. And I do. Like so much. This comes back to...
everybody's talking about your nipples all the time.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Okay. For those of you that know who I am, my nipples are quite the conversation because they're hard all the time. And guess what? My mother gave those to me, and I'll flaunt them if I want to. Okay? I will not be shamed into putting pads in my bra or my sports bra because someone else is like, I shouldn't see your nipples. That's weird. Okay? But yeah, my nipples are hard often, and it's just the way it is.
So no, it did not change.
No, I actually kind of hope that it would change. When we redid them, we actually went through the nipple.
Yeah.
And they cut the under part, but not the whole thing. They didn't like take the whole thing off.
Right.
They do that.
God.
They do that.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
They do that. They take the
so
whole
neither
nipple
one
off.
of us had a lift. That's a whole other.
That's a whole lift.
Whole other deal.
So they just cut half under, and then they went in through there. And I was like, ooh, maybe they won't be as sensitive, because they get so sensitive that like they hurt. They like really, really
like
hurt.
From what? Like from just like
Well, if it's around my cycle,
yeah,
they hurt. If I'm, in a sports bra and I'm running, they'll hurt. If it's really cold outside, they get so hard that it hurts. Okay, so I was like, ooh, maybe it will actually keep them from getting.
I feel like a grade schooler. I'm like, hee.
Oh, her nipples hurt. Ooh, they get so hard that they hurt. Yeah, they do. Okay.
Okay.
And no, they are still very, very sensitive, and it's the same.
Okay.
I mean, that's me though. I have heard from some people
Sure.
that they
Some
lose
people have,
sensitivity.
right.
You obviously have a lot of like
didn't either.
nerves and things like that. So when they're going to cut through that
yeah.
stuff,
You run the
there's a
risk of
chance.
that.
There's a chance of that. So I guess at that point,
gotta weigh
if
the
you're really
risks.
worried about it, so you could talk with your doctor about what are your options. Sometimes they'll cut under the boob, depending on what kind of implant you do. You could go through the armpit,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Just swallow it. Just swallow it, and then as it's going down, you
just keep pushing it.
You like
pushing
direct
it.
Oh,
Oh my God! Please, nobody actually swallow
Please,
an
guys,
implant.
don't swallow implant.
We don't need anybody swallowing
that's like
implants.
it'd be like an anaconda, where they like really like eat a human, like an anaconda, like really
just stuck in their throat. Oh my God! Okay. From LA 201, how do they feel after? How long did it take to feel a part of you?
Oh my gosh.
I feel like yours, it was so weird because like right after you had yours done, like, and because the yours were redone,
Yeah.
like for me, when I first got mine done, they were like way under my
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap,
super
I hope these
swollen,
things like
sit
go
really
down.
high.
Yeah. I think, I think for me, my experience was that it took a little while. And and right now, like the only time I actually know that I have them is if I do something like if I do bench press, or if I can feel them. It doesn't hurt, but I feel them
move.
like or even if I do like tricep, what is that?
Yeah, dips.
Dips. Thank you. What is this thing? If I do that, they literally will go like this, like.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Like they kind of like go out and back in, like
Dude,
you can kind of see them a little bit. But that's the only time that I even realized that I have them.
Yeah. Mine too. My newer implants too. I had saline before and they were still really soft, but I have the gummy bear implant, which is the same as you. Very natural. I just actually got back from my doctor's appointment and he checked them and he's like, he was more concerned because I'm an athlete
Right.
of them hardening. It's very important that you follow your instructions so you don't have your boobs harden. And I didn't. They feel very natural. They look really natural. And the only thing I very much remember my first time getting them done. I remember when I laid on my belly for the first time.
Oh,
and I was like, ooh.
yeah, you're right.
Like,
That is kind of a weird
because
feeling.
they're like in the way.
Yeah.
Or like anytime I like, have tried to swing a golf club, they're in the way.
Yeah, you hit them.
But yeah, the biggest thing was probably laying on them when I very first, like you would roll over or you lay on the floor and you realize, because before, I didn't have boobs. So
Right.
it wasn't,
Right.
Really, it was just like a transition from having none to having some, which was weird.
Right. So other people that actually have boobs, maybe that already felt weird to them to lay on their stomach.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's it.
I'm sure we could probably find more of your questions, but we don't really have time for that today. So if you guys want to get your boobs done, our recommendation is to really research a doctor, find someone who you can really trust. Obviously, going into surgery in general is terrifying. It's not something to just, see how much change you got in your piggy bank at home.
Yeah, don't do that. And honestly, do it if you can afford it.
Yeah. Wait till you can afford it and go to someone that you really, really trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a reminder, if you guys want to stay involved with us and communicate with us, please leave us a really great rating on whichever platform you are listening to this podcast and a comment and with questions. And if you'd like us to go and try out some new things, a new type of facial. I'm just
topic that you wanna hear about.
strategically just trying to get to go to the spa.
I know.
Send us to the spa.
You are.
Or a new workout, a new training, whatever. We'd love to not only give you some great information and feedback, but I love to try new things. And I love to see Gina try new things.
Because I don't like to try new things.
Let's force Gina to try new things.
That's what this really is.
But again, thank you so much for listening. We are pumped to be here. Episode 2 is down. And we are like Skippy peanut butter smooth right now. We moved through this like Skippy peanut butter.
You're so stupid.
Love you guys. Have a good day or night or afternoon. Goodbye. Goodbye. Gina, if you don't sing goodbye, I'm going to be so mad at you.
Goodbye.